Should have been finished those by now.
I gained like 6 pounds in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're live, Mr. Galloway.
I know we are. I know we are. I get you. I got it.
All
This is a
right.
little bit of behind the curtain for everybody at home. I don't see us on a thing but a seal. There we go. I see Andy. There it is. All right. All right. Go production team. All right, here we go. I'm going to call to order the special meeting of the Concord Township Board of Trustees for Wednesday, August 22nd. Please join Paul in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good to see none of you were kneeling during that. All right, roll call.
Mrs. Luda?
Here.
Mr. Malczewski?
Present.
Mr. Galloway?
I am here. Okay. I'm going to start off with audience. If there's any audience members that would like to address the Board of Trustees on the matters of the public hearings that we had earlier this evening or on any particular topic, please do so at this time. There is no audience that is interested in addressing the Board of Trustees at this time. That's going to move us into the matters of taking up the matters of the two topics of the public hearings from earlier this evening. Those would be resolutions 2018-20 and 2018-24.
Mr. Galloway, I'd make a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-20, resolution to enact the Township Permissive Motor Vehicle License Tax pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 4504.18.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion.
It's a $5 tax. If collected, the township may gain approximately $19,000 to put directly towards our roads.
And that we can use.
Yeah, we've had in the last couple of years we've had a lot of weather that's been very challenging on our roads here in the community. And I will say now in my 13th year as a trustee that I've had more requests from residents for us to do more road work and to spend more dollars on the roads than I have in my previous years. I will say that we are actually doing a record amount of road work in the township on an annual basis in terms of dollars spent and projects. Frank and his department, with the help of Mrs. Dawson, really putting together a fantastic road program. But as we all know, we've got a lot of lane miles and a lot to cover and a lot of repairs.
Yeah,
and
143 lane miles.
And everybody believes their road is the worst in the township, and I assure you it's not. But we do have an extensive road program planned out years in advance. It does modify at times on an annual basis as we re-review the condition of the roads on an annual basis. That's something that Frank does every spring. It's a grading and an analysis, so that way it is sort of an impartial process in terms of determining what roads need attention first. So the idea of doing this was that this would just be more dollars towards those road programs. If people want us to do more road work, that means we need more money to do it. There's no magic pot otherwise.
And the money will be coming from the people who use the roads.
Correct.
Simply every year, and right around this time, we try to squeeze a project or two out towards the end of the season. And literally, you see what we purchase in the wintertime of our material, concrete and asphalt, and that's where these dollars and cents go. We generally, it's just for purchase of more concrete and more asphalt because that's going directly into the roads.
Right.
A lot, and we do have a significant crew and a sophisticated crew that does a lot of the stuff on their own. There are a lot of other entities do not, so they're all project out. subcontracted out.
And I may be, and this was actually authority that was given to townships a number of years ago, and I may be incorrect, but I think us and Leroy are the only communities that haven't implemented this
In Lake County, yes.
in Lake County. I'm not sure.
Perry Township, I believe, has not.
Not? Okay. I think they are reviewing it,
Madison and
though.
Painesville Township have done
Yeah.
this.
So we're a little bit further behind some of the other communities, and again, I view it as more dollars in, allows us to do more work.
Right.
That's really how I view it. And in an era of shrinking state dollars in terms of the local government fund, it's another way for
That's
us
right.
to put those dollars in. Nobody likes paying a tax. Nobody at this table likes paying a tax. But I'm happy to do that for township roads. I don't live on a township road, but I'm happy to do that for township roads for the price of a Starbucks coffee.
And you do pay less state taxes now because of the changes they made at the state level.
That's right.
And they wanted everything, they wanted to bring things local, so this is taking things local.
Hey, I have a sole proprietor LLC. That's my private business that I operate outside of this here. And I can tell you that based on the changes that the governor and the legislature has done in the last few years, the reality is when I do my taxes, I'm paying somewhere below 2% in state income tax now. The reality is I'm paying a lot less in state income tax. But that also means that's a burden that's shifting towards the local governments the local communities to have to pay for a lot of this stuff, and we have to find different ways to do that. Not to beat that horse to death, but that's sort of the background on how and why and what we're doing here. I will go ahead and have a vote. You know what? I'm going to do a roll call on this one.
We need a second?
I did.
Connie seconded.
Already have it.
Mr. Malczewski?
Yes.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Galloway, I'd make a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-24 to adopt the limited home rule government pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section, or Chapter 504, as well as Section 504.01.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. Mr. Malczewski.
My comments are is that we've been studying this for some time, a significant amount of time. Your book that you have to the left of you was, I think, in 2011, and we've had additional material prior to that. Township powers derive from the Ohio Revised Code. As stated so often, we are a creature of statute. The ORC allows townships to have additional tools in the toolbox, and we've tried to, just a minute ago, we adopted an additional tool just recently, and that was a financial tool. This allows the township to have a little bit more powers that are offered by the Ohio Revised Code. So it's an additional tool in our toolbox. We can use it when necessary. It doesn't require us to always use it, but it is available to the township. And I guess my position would be is shame on us for not having that additional tool at our disposal. So I would make that motion to adopt Resolution 2008-24.
I will second.
2018-24.
I will second that. And I would like to say that I've had calls over the years for residents wanting us to do something that we are not allowed to do, but we would be allowed to do under home rule. So I think some of the residents who have called me on different occasions would appreciate this.
Let me address a couple things that I've had folks ask me. Because when someone hears, let's say a layman hears limited home rule government, sometimes the first thought was, whoa, is that the first step to becoming a city?
No?
The answer to that is no. In fact, it's just the opposite of that. This is a way for us to further strengthen our authorities as a township government and to further cement our status as a township. So it is in fact just the opposite some sort of a step towards becoming incorporated. As I know that I've said, and Paul and Connie have said many times, you know, Concord is going to remain a township as long as we have something
Right.
to say and do with it. Really what this does is this allows us to take it, it also allows us now to gain additional authorities that we don't have currently as a township. More importantly, it also allows us in the future to take advantage of authorities that may be granted under these statutes, these limited home rule statutes, by the legislature in the future. I can tell you, since originally adopting this in 1991, the state legislature has expanded those incrementally over time. And Andy went through a laundry list of things that you probably were surprised to learn that townships can't currently do and regulate. And there's simple little things like, you know, regulation of, you know, street vendors and setting township speed limits on township roads. Did you know that we didn't have the authority to do that? Under limited home rule, the township can set speed limits on township roads. My feeling is that working with the Ohio Township Association and our legislative members in Columbus, that as time goes on, there'll be additional pushes for townships to potentially have, under limited home rule, the authorities of things like subdivision regulations, potentially able to establish their own road standards. Those things are going to be very important for Concord Township, especially on roads, as it relates to any new roads, and making sure that they're up to the standards that we believe they should be when they're handed over to the township, so that we're not repairing brand new roads 10 years later, which unfortunately we find at times. So from my standpoint, this is an additional tool, expanded authority within the township structure under Ohio Revised Code. It allows us to be able to better regulate our growing community. We've looked at this for a decade now, and it's something that we decided that to address this now in a public hearing and to have this discussion, because at least from my perspective, I think the timing is right in terms of where we are as a community. We're knocking on 20,000 residents. It makes us the largest township in Northeast Ohio. We have a diversity of neighborhoods. We have a growing commercial corridor. We have a joint economic development district. I think that this is going to help us continue to move Concord forward and to make sure that we're a community that's a destination community, that we're a premier community in Northeast Ohio by giving us certain authorities. And I think it'll be critical for Concord's continued growth and development to have those tools.
That's the Urban Township Association you're involved in?
Yeah, the Urban Township, the coalition of large Ohio urban townships.
Yes. Those are all home rule besides Concord?
They're not all. Most of them are. Well, I would say about half are. As you know, there's two in Northeast Ohio in this area. There's really, for whatever reason, Northeast Ohio has been sort of slow in adopting this versus other parts of the state. There are two townships in Trumbull County that are limited home rule. I don't believe there are any in Portage. I think they're the only ones in Northeast Ohio, and that would be Howland and what's the other one? Boardman, yes. And they did so some time ago. They were early adopters.
Yes.
We see this adopted a lot in a number of townships in Northwest Ohio and especially in Southwest Ohio, where you have some townships that are very large. In Southwest Ohio, I mean, you have townships like Coleraine that are
Size of Menor.
60 to 70,000 people. They're bigger than Menor. Concord, based on the way our zoning and our everything else is laid out, we're never going to reach that size. But I think having those authorities is important nonetheless. I think we have a lot of residents. Our community has changed. There's a lot of folks that have invested a lot in their properties, in their homes, It's their main investment in their life, and I think it's imperative for us to continue to find ways to protect that investment and to make sure that it continues to increase in value. And I think that this is one of those ways that we will be able to achieve that moving forward in the coming years. And future boards of trustees will be able to do so. So that's kind of the genesis of it. Andy is going to make sure that we will have under our Concord Facts tab within the website, you'll be able to look at a lot of the frequently asked questions, a lot of the things that Andy sort of outlined earlier this evening will be available on that website. And as always, if you have questions about it from resident standpoint, you're free to call Andy, you're free to reach out to any of the trustees at TrusteeMtg8-22-18. That comes to all of us. And, we'd be happy to elaborate. What this does at this time is it adopts us as a limited home rule township. It does not implement any regulations or additional resolutions.
And when we do that, we're going to have a different format of how we will adopt an additional resolution under the home rule power. We'll have some additional readings. It'll be categorized as separately. So we should probably also have a separate section when we, on our website when we do have something that's under home rule.
Correct. I would also I would end by saying that I would urge my other fellow townships in Lake County, since we'll be the first to adopt this and join us in this. I know it's important from the Ohio Township Association's perspective. They are very encouraging of large townships adopting this governance. So I know we have a couple representatives from a couple other townships here sort of observing today, and I would encourage them to do their due diligence and really look at joining Concord in terms of home rule governance. So that being said, is there anything else that you'd like to add, Mr. Rose?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, legal counsel, is there anything you want to talk about as it relates to resolution process? Paul touched on 2 hearings. Anything you would like to add to this hearing?
No, I don't think so. Just for reference in the audience and also with television, the license tax is in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 4504.18, and the resolution regarding the limited home rule government is pursuant to 504.01 of the Ohio Revised Code. So both statutes are pretty self-explanatory, and unlike some Ohio General Assembly legislation that you need a machete to hack your way through, these are pretty straightforward in that. So if you have an interest in really determining the underpinning for both of these particular resolutions, those are the citations for that. So.
And perhaps, Andy, especially for the limited home rule, we could go ahead and put a link to that as well as part of our the facts section under that.
Yes,
tab.
sir.
I think that would be helpful, and people can look at the code themselves as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and this is going to be a roll call vote. If you would proceed with that, Mrs. Dawson.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes?
Mr. Melchewski?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes. Okay. I would say that this brings us into our general township business. Does the administrator or any other members of the board have anything that they would like to address this evening in terms of township business? Anything you want to tackle, discuss? I know folks have asked me about Chipotle. That should be open soon.
Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend is still their target. I don't know that they're going to make that, but that's
It'll be close.
what they're targeting.
Be close.
Do they all take that long to build?
I'm told yes.
Yeah, wow.
I'm told yes.
I'm not an expert on that
Are
kind
you
of thing.
anxious, Paul? Okay.
He has a teenage daughter. I know he's anxious.
Oh, okay.
She's probably chomping at the bit to go right after it. Let me just, since we're under general township business, we've had a lot. I continue to get questions about the vacant riders. That is something that we've this time, we've done all of our work, if you will, in terms of looking for a grocer, having an interested party. That property is under a court proceeding as it relates to its financial structure and debt structure. It is working its way through Lake County Court. There's not going to be a new grocer or lease or deal done until that process is done in court and it's free and clear. My understanding is that the grocer that we've been dealing with is still interested. So it's just a little bit of patience on all of our ends in order before that will probably proceed.
I would just add, what I think would have to happen is they would have to resolve those court proceedings, and I think they're close. And then whoever would occupy that space is going to have to make some renovations.
Yes.
And so my suggestion is pay attention to look for activity in making those renovations. Those renovations could take, probably 9 months.
To almost a year.
Yeah, and just so general public knows, but what I think would occur is that there would be some walls replacement and add additional floor space, so that there will be more product inside that facility.
I can tell you that the preliminary floor plans that you and I have both looked at from the prospective grocer, their intention is to be a full-service grocery store where you will be able to do your entire week's shopping. They will also, it is their goal, based on the way they look to structure the store, there'll be probably 3 times the volume of grocery items within the store than what was previously there under Riders. So they are talking about somewhere about $1 million investment in that property once a lease is agreed to. So it is exciting. I mean, nothing is done yet, but I constantly urge folks to temper that enthusiasm a little bit, because nothing's done until it's done. But we continue to believe that it is going to get done, and that we will have a full-service grocery store in Concord Township again in the near future. And as we have further developments on that, we'll be happy to share them with the public. If anybody hasn't anything else, I'm going to go ahead and.
Community Shred Day is this Saturday from 10 to 12. If anybody needs their documents, papers, old records shredded, you can bring them up to Township Hall. You get 3 legal-size boxes for free. It'll be taking place right out here in the parking lot.
And please, that's Concord residents, your
Concord
personal
residents,
stuff.
please,
It's not,
yes.
let's bring box loads of stuff from the office in Cleveland.
Correct.
Yes, it's Concord residents and your
It's
personal.
designed for your Concord residents'
Shot
personal.
at me out of nowhere.
That's right. I'm not gonna, yeah, good catch, Andy. Very good catch. And since we won't see everybody before the Labor Day weekend, our next meeting will be after that. I guess I would wish everyone a happy Labor Day weekend, and please be safe and enjoy what's left of summer. I know all the kids are back in school, so that's exciting. And we'll see everybody in September. Thank you.
Thank you.